It is remarkable that H.P. Blavatsky wrote her books 100 years ago, and it is only in the last few years that correlations in science have begun to corroborate some of her statements. In the Mahatma letters to A.P. Sinnett, the masters wrote, "Modern science is our best ally." We want to make it clear that when we turn to science, this means to us a continuing discovery of the laws of nature. We wish to distinguish between this ongoing search of science and technology, which makes use of the facts uncovered by science. It is our purpose to illustrate some of these important scientific correlations, as well as others drawn from sources in nature and art. The theosophical concepts presented have been selected from our classical literature. The focus of this program is on three basic ideas: space, motion, and unity. Motion, as we will try to show, is basic to the universe as well as everything that goes on within us. If it is possible to accept this idea of motion or constant change as a law of nature, it might help us to understand how this affects us in our daily lives. We may then begin to recognize that resistance to change, or resistance to a law of nature, can become a source of anxiety and suffering. Each man and woman is part of the universe, and thus part of natural law. We are not isolated. Absolute abstract space is, in this philosophy, an analogy for reality, for the spirit or consciousness which underlies the universe and imbues it with life. It is within this consciousness or spirit that man may truly become the measure of all things. As we seek to understand and organize the vast unity of life that space and motion or change offer, it becomes clear that man and the cosmos are one. There is one absolute reality which antecedes all manifested being and is beyond all thought or speculation. It is symbolized in the secret doctrine under two aspects. On the one hand, absolute abstract space, which no human mind can either exclude from any conception or conceive of by itself. On the other, absolute abstract motion, representing unconditioned consciousness. Consciousness is inconceivable to us apart from change, and motion best symbolizes change, its essential characteristic. The first fundamental axiom of the secret doctrine is this metaphysical one absolute. Space is the precondition of all that exists, be it in material or immaterial form, because we can neither imagine an object nor a being without space. Space, therefore, is not only a basic ingredient of all existence, but a fundamental property of our consciousness. Thus, space is built up in consciousness by movement and direction, and is a space that is felt and known, and of which external space is a mere symbol, a reflection, limited by the finite qualities of our eyes, our physical faculty of vision. In fact, what we see with our eyes is not space, but only a world of light-resisting objects, which we interpret in terms of our inner space consciousness. We may then accept that the individual's process of perceiving, its limitations and its expansiveness, is affected by his previous experiences. You are looking at a picture of the retina, the image receiver of an eye. The image of the girl you see is the object upon which this eye is focused. Our eyes receive the light emissions of a physical body and register them as an inverted reflection of the original. This reflection is then translated into electrochemical impulses which travel along the optic nerve to the brain, where they are interpreted by our mind, our consciousness. Given this dynamic interaction between subject and object, between the perceiver and the perceived, we may well want to ask, Why do we perceive the way we do? What is real? The real person or thing does not consist solely of what is seen at any particular moment, but is composed of the sum of all its various and changing conditions from its appearance in the material form to its disappearance from the earth. Nothing on earth has real duration, for nothing remains without change, or the same for the billionth part of a second. And the sensation we have of the actuality of the division of time, known as the present, comes from the blurring of that momentary glimpse, or succession of glimpses, of things that our senses give us. We may now recognize that those phases which we perceive through the organizing principle of the mind are only a small and very incomplete part of a much greater whole. Since motion is all-pervading and absolute rest inconceivable, under whatever form or mask motion may appear, whether it is light, heat, magnetism, or electricity, all these must be but phases of one and the same universal omnipotent force we simply call the one life, the one law. A universe in which everything has a tendency to stop its own motion would soon become a dead universe, destitute of any life or activity whatever. But scientific investigations show that in infinitely little, as well as in infinitely great things, all is motion. The atoms are ceaselessly moving. The earth is forever in motion. The sun is forever in motion. And all the stars are forever in motion. We find nothing absolutely at rest. This being so, says Einstein in effect, motion must be regarded as the natural as well as the actual condition of matter, a state of things that needs no explanation from us, for it arises out of the very constitution of the universe. It is of the very essence of existence. This ceaseless movement in the universe, however, is not merely a mad dance. Modern physics pictures matter not at all as passive and inert, but as being in a continuous, vibrating and dancing motion. And the rhythmic patterns of this motion are given by the molecular structures, the atomic structures, and the nuclear structures. Thus we see that the ancient teachings and today's most up-to-date science agree that everything within and without is in continuous motion. It is constantly moving and changing, but in such a way that its motion in and through space leads to greater pattern and organization. It leads to the greater order and harmony we can see in the larger whole. Mind is the dynamics of self-organization. To the extent that any system, mineral, rock, plant, animal, human, group, or society, is self-organizing, it has a mind. On the cosmic level, divinity can be said to be the self-organizing dynamic of the universe. The constant interaction of consciousness and matter creates a universe that is intelligent, forceful, and alive. For life or mind is the interface between spirit and matter. Every particle of matter is imbued with life and mind, thus self-ordering and formative, creative of outer forms in accordance with these principles. This is how physics, using quantum theory, reveals a basic oneness of the universe. It shows that we cannot decompose the world into independently existing smallest units. As we penetrate into matter, nature appears as a complicated web or network of relations between various parts of an integrated, unified whole. We are, as a leading theoretical physicist suggests, not mere observers, but rather participators. We live, he says, in a participatory universe. The unity that the Theosophical Society proclaims is not just a pious hope, but a scientific fact at every level. At the physical level, we share one earth. The atoms of our bodies are constantly changing, and with every breath, we take in myriads previously used by other men. At the biological level, we share one life. The evolutionary progress of living organisms is like an imposing design of branching stairways. At the social level, we share one humanity. We are one social species with minor variations, and the history of civilization concerns our efforts at harmonious integration of increasingly large groups. Finally, at the spiritual level, we share one divinity. So man carries within himself the essence of all that has been and is now. He has the power to build the future as he will.